Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Medium's Table. I'm your host, Michelle Gardner. This podcast is your personal invitation to join me at the intersection of the everyday and the extraordinary. Together, we'll explore the magic of mediumship, share spiritual stories, and connect with fellow mediums on this incredible journey. So grab a seat, pour yourself a cuppa, and come join us at the Medium's Table, where spirits gather and stories unfold. Disclaimer, just a heads up to all our lovely followers. Our social media is a space where we share personal stories, including those of various mediums. Let's keep the vibe positive and respect each other's beliefs. Every journey is unique, and here we celebrate the diversity of experiences. I'd like to welcome to the show our panel of mediums for the topic today of dimensional experiences. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly does that entail? Well, I guess we're soon about to find out. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello. Good evening.
Hi.
I love that pause, that silence of, you want me to say something? Do I go first? You go first.
Who goes first?
I thought you were going to have another follow-up line. That's what.
Oh, no. We're
Just
cutting to the chase. We cut to the chase now. I mean, in the early days, yeah, but now it's just like, right, that's it. This is it. Done, dusted. Yeah, all right, it's over. Bye.
Yep. Hit it.
Exactly. So dimensional experiences now. Some might be thinking, does that mean an altered state of reality? Does that mean you've moved to somewhere else? What exactly does that mean? And I'm curious to know as well, because that's why we have 3 mediums here, each to tell their own stories and what that means for them and their experiences in an altered state, dimension, whatever that may look like. We are going to find out. But before we do, let's go around the room and have each medium tell you exactly what it is that they do. Jeannette.
Well, hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me back. I'm an evidential medium, and I do trance work. I do trance medium work, which is a little interesting for me, where your individual or your deceased loved one speaks through me. And then there are other entities and angels also that come through in trance. And that's pretty much what I do. And come on fabulous shows like Michelle's here, Medium's Table.
Yes, and Jeannette has a regular monthly segment that she does, Unlimited Connections, where she predicts the month ahead, so to speak, or gives you insights. We'll say insights, but there's been a little bit of Nostradamus going on there. I will say that. So stay tuned for that. It's exciting times, and each month you will see Jeannette, and she also has episodes with her own individual stories. So again, those will all be in the description. As I say in each episode, everything's always in the description. Brooke.
Read it all, you guys. Read it all, because I never do. But yeah, read it.
Thanks for the encouragement, Jeannette. Brooke.
My name's Brooke. I am a modern day shaman. I do healings. I do paranormal investigations. I do spiritual clearings. I do spirit animal locations and assigning. That's a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything, as long as it's primarily energy, pure energy based.
Yeah, I love that. And Brooke has told some very, very interesting experiences in his previous episodes, and I'm still obsessed with the animal spirit one. Again, in the links, the links will all be in the description below all the episodes. So go back and watch those. That had me fascinated. Actually, we probably should do we should do an episode on that. Anyway, I digress. Julie.
Come back to this dimension, Michelle. Come back to this dimension.
I'm already traveling the animal kingdom.
We lost her.
Yeah.
Julie.
Hi, I'm a medium as well, and I do spirit communication, I do trance, I do healings and paranormal investigation, Bigfoot hunting, kind of whatever's out there, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it finds me is generally the way I work.
Yeah.
Like suddenly it's there and I have to deal with it. So
yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say, Julie, every time I see a wonderfully weird post on Facebook, I always think of you. I don't know why.
Because I'm there somewhere.
And Julie also has a monthly segment on our podcast where it's Messages the World Needs Now, where she starts at the beginning of the month and she will unravel for you what is going to happen in that month. So stay tuned for that as well. Every month, keep a lookout, and you can go back with both of the ladies, Jeannette and Julie, and see their monthly segments. But you guys also have, all of you, your own individual stories that you've told, which are fascinating, especially, and I love to hear how people got to where they are today. I mean, every story is amazing, but those are the journeys of each individual, and I find those extremely fascinating, how people have slipped into, I guess you could say, their modality.
Or tripped over.
Yeah, one or the other. Exactly.
Got smacked on the head with.
I rest my case. Do you see the uniqueness here? So much fun. But yeah, so Julie does all sorts of weird and wonderful things. I'm going to say, Julie, you're the only person I know that like, where are you getting this from? Who is this? What creature is that? Every time you speak of something, I have something weird to tell. Oh, trust me, it's going to be weird. Anyway.
I don't know, Michelle. Thank you for such high compliments.
You're welcome. And that is a compliment, because I love the uniqueness and I don't know what you call it, the skills, the ability that you have to tap into these unique sources. We'll call them unique sources because there's such a huge, vast genre of where they fit. So, with that being said, and without further ado, let's get into these stories. Jeannette, what do you have for us today?
So I have two distinctly different stories. And I want to say that I'm going to tell you the stories in a minute, but when I started to decipher them and dissect them and take them apart, there's so much neuroscience that backs up a lot of what you're going to hear probably from me and from the other two tonight, of how the different parts of the brain work and how much more they're uncovering about consciousness and even shared consciousness. So my first story is a fairly easy one. I'm sitting here at my desk doing whatever. And all of a sudden, I experience as if I am floating up in a corner of my daughter's kitchen. That she had just recently gotten married. And I recognize that there's no body. That's what I'm looking, but it's like I was placed there. And I'm looking down, and both her and her husband are there. She's very distraught, crying. He's kind of, a little tense with the muscles, red in the face, and just really angry and aggravated and frustrated. And she's just, and all of a sudden it hit me like, what am I doing here? This is their private moment. I don't belong here. I'm not supposed to be here. And I'm back looking at my laptop and doing my stuff. And I'm like, what just happened? No clue. I have no idea. And I called my daughter and I said, hey, are you guys okay? Yeah, we're fine. I'm like, have you been crying? She's like, well, we're just having a really bad fight. Whatever, they're newlyweds. You know what I mean? A bunch of new things come up that you don't know if the other person functions that way. And I'm like, oh, I go, well, where were you? She goes, what? Because she's kind of pissed that I'm not concerned about what their issues were, but their location. Like, we were in the kitchen. I'm like, wow. I mean, wow. Like, it doesn't matter because obviously she didn't want to hear my situation. And then I, empathized with her and went through whatever the situation, whatever they were having their issues about. So that was one of the first ones that I was like, okay, so these things happen. That was my first introduction to something like that. I still did not have a name for it. I had heard out of body experience, and then I also hear about remote viewing. So I go on, I'm researching and I'm buying books. I'm trying to figure out what one is from the other. I haven't really quite gotten there yet. I yet to really come up with a conclusion or a summary. The second one was, for me, much more disturbing. I was partaking in a mediumship class, and there was like 40 of us. It was a big group. One of the participants in the class came on and said, I'd like to ask, since there's such a big group, she was telling the instructor, is it possible for us to focus? My best friend, her daughter has gone missing. She was at a high school party up in the mountains in California. And, and then she's going into, the traumatic experience that everybody is feeling. And it was like a high school graduation party. And my husband had passed maybe a year and a half before. So immediately my brain is like, nope, let them do their thing. I'll make my grocery list. I'll organize. I'll do anything, up here while that's going on. So after a bit, the instructor says, okay, I think that's it. Let's get back to what everybody's here for. Okay. And I just had a feeling, you get that knowingness, and boom, it pops you into a room with another person. And of course, the other person is the lady that was pleading for everyone to help. And I just looked at her and I went, oh, I didn't want to seem like just like a horrible person, because I had my own reasons, but I don't know her. And I wasn't going to go into that whole dilemma either. And as soon as I saw her, best way I can put this, consciously, I guess I was no longer here again. I was in a body. It was very thin. I'm like average or a little bit heavier than really thin. And I am freezing cold. I could feel all of this. I was cold. I was scared to death. I couldn't move. I felt that it was like I was leaning up against a tree. I could move my eyes. That's all I could see. So I was sitting like on a mud bank or something, because I could feel, when your body kind of sinks into either the sand or something like that. I could hear a helicopter, and I saw it, going back and forth. There was about 50 feet from where I was to the water line. There was a lake in front. Across the lake, again, like another 50 or so feet, tree line, and then mountains behind it. And then in my mind, I just thought, they're never going to find me, because it's a helicopter going back and forth. So they're looking this way. They need a boat to go, up and down the lake or the river or whatever it was, or they're never going to find me. My sensation was that I had been drugged so that I couldn't move, but I was completely aware of everything. I was freezing, I was wet, and I was horrified. And in an instant, again, I was like, oh my, I can't be here. This isn't me. Boom, I'm back. And when I come back, now the same girl is on the screen, and the tutor, the teachers, they'll pop in every once in a while to see how the participants are doing. And I'm wiping tears off of my face. I was bawling. So it was a visceral, emotional experience, like I was her. I sat there for a minute and said, if this is what these things are going to be like, I'm out, at least for a while. I truly did not have the emotional capacity for that type of stuff. There's detective mediumship where they help police and all this, but there's a big toll, because the emotional component of that is intense. It's severe and it's dramatic. So the instructor goes to me, what's happening, Jeannette? Why are you crying? And now I'm like, well, do I share this? Because this is not, but I couldn't help it. I just blah, 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 vomited the whole thing up. And then he's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, that was like, you were someplace else viewing, and I'm like, and then he's like, okay, and I'm like, okay, what do you mean? Okay. But he's got like other people that he's got to get to. And I talked to him later about it and touched base a little bit, but that's not really what he does. So he really didn't have a lot that he could help me with. So what I tend to do is I kind of throw things back there because I've got a bunch of other things. Plus you have your normal life and duties to take care of. But every once in a while it comes up. And lately I've been doing a little research on neuroscience and the different parts of the brain. Back when I was doing my doctorates, it was, so limited. Neuropsychology and neuroscience right now is really connecting with consciousness. And even that they've gotten to the point to recognize that your consciousness is not just you and your own body, but it is capable of moving away from and even having shared consciousness, which is my main, at this point, my takeaway of what happened at that point. And yeah, then they're doing studies on mediums and they're testing the different parts of the brain and seeing how they differ. And apparently, and that was like at the beginning, and I get it now. It's like I put it in a timeline. I was starting to develop, I'm still developing, but I was starting to develop. So your sense of self, which is usually very concrete, Jeannette is this is how she looks, this is how she acts, this is where she lives. It starts to loosen a little bit as you go into kind of a little bit of altered state of consciousness, like your boundaries become blurry. And the more I did trance and stuff like that, the more, and they'll say the people who can do that, they easily fall into what we call an altered state, but it could be some of those experiences I was talking about quickly without wanting to. I did not want to have anything to do with that poor girl's disappearance, to the extent that when that happened, it affected me so much. I didn't want to follow it. I didn't want to talk to any of the people that were in there to tell me what was going on with her. I was like, I just slammed that door shut that down. So I think there's going to be so much that we're going to be learning as a society, as humanity, on what we thought consciousness was and the ability that we have with our consciousness, like how vast it can expand and what it can experience. I think there's something called mirroring. There's some kind of neurological thing where you can mirror somebody else's feelings, and the more empathetic and the more this type of work that you do, it's a greater extent that you're able to do that. So that was that all of those visceral physical sensation, I think, fall into that category. It's the science part of it is fascinating to me. It's very exciting how that backs up this other world that I don't understand and that I try to decipher with science. They'll catch up someday. Hopefully I'll be around to see a little bit of it. So those were my two experiences to share with your community out there. And thank you for allowing me to tell the stories.
Yeah, wow. And do you think then, Jeannette, like you're saying, your consciousness is going to someone else's, that theirs is actually reaching out for help?
Look, with my daughters, she's the only kid I have, or, her dad, my husband had died. So it was just the two of us and my mom. So that connection became incredibly melded together. So I think that her distress brought me to her. They only live like 6 minutes away, and I'm really good about respecting their privacy. If I'm going to go over there, I text, I call, I don't just pop in. So I'm really respectful of that. So I do believe that it was intention that she brought me to her. That poor girl up there in the mountains. I think that her screams and shared consciousness, because I think we all share a consciousness. This is where I'm at now. That she was screaming out. Somebody may scream somewhere in my neighborhood and maybe I'll hear them, but maybe the person over there doesn't. Somebody will pick up on it. Is the best I can tell you right now. So I think I think, yes, I think that her intensity and her desperation was definitely amplified to anyone who could be picked up on. And the opportunity presented itself with, this was her mother's best friend that was in this class, who was begging people to help and to reach out. Yeah, so the only thing I was able to do was the instructor or the lady said, I'm going to reach out to my friend and tell her exactly what you saw. And they did then incorporate, boats and people on foot. And the only thing that I saw was over to my right, a huge boulder, those boulders that are like 12, 15 feet high by like 10 or 15, 20 feet. Yeah, a big boulder. But like I said, I emotionally did not have the strength to follow up on that story. I mean, I prayed for her and the family, but that's as far as my human could take it at that moment in time.
Yeah, that's a pretty intense, both of them intense experiences. When you're talking about being in your daughter's kitchen, that sounds similar to when people have a near-death experience, have that outer body and they're looking down from above in the operating theatre and so on and so forth. So, wow. But if the audience has questions for anybody's experience or story, by all means, put it in the comments. It's interesting to hear different angles, perceptions and beliefs of what might be happening for someone. And if you've had something similar, it's always good to share those with others. So that way you don't feel alone.
Definitely.
Brooke. Yeah. Brooke.
Well, so my experiences have stayed with me being me. It's more of a lifting of a veil. The first experience, not that I've had, but my first story that I'm going to share was I was called into a house to do a clearing, and the woman of the house was being tormented by an entity. And so I went around the house to check it out and everything. And as I went into the basement, her significant other was with me, and I saw a door in an outside door. And I asked him, I said, "Where does that door lead to?" And he goes, "It goes out to the backyard." I said, "Can we open it?" He goes, "Yeah, absolutely." So he goes over and he opens up the door. So I step up to the door frame, and in one steps I'm in the basement, and then I take a step forward and I'm out on the back lawn. And then I come back, and as I'm coming back through, I'm in the door frame of the basement. And I look to my right, which is just physically just ground and the structure of the door frame. But there was a room there. And I turned and I looked, and I had this feeling that I had experienced as it brought back a memory of a childhood. And I don't think it was a memory from this childhood. I think it was a previous life. But I'm like, there's a room here. And he just he looked at me, he's like, "What?" I'm like, "In this door casing, there is a room where that entity hangs out." And in this room, it was, I'm going to say the dimensions were like 10 by 10, old barn boards. And the only thing that was in this room was a crate in the middle of the floor. I take one step backwards, I'm in the basement. I take one step forwards, I'm on the back lawn. But right in that door frame, turn to my right, there is another room of another dimension. So I wasn't in a trance state. I wasn't astro traveling. I was right there experiencing everything, having a conversation with him. And I'm like, this is where he hangs out. This is where this entity hangs out that's bothering your girlfriend. And I ultimately ended up clearing the property, having a little altercation with the entity, but he went his own way. and I destroyed that room, and put that into the portal with the entity, and it was gone. But it was something that he couldn't physically see, and it wasn't me. Again, it wasn't me going into an altered state of mind. It wasn't me astro traveling. It was right there, and the veil was just lifted to my physical experience. And so that's probably the biggest one, I guess, as far as physical interpretation of another dimension in the same place without going anywhere. A lot of my shaman training and shaman ritual experiences, I've received information from trees, old trees of the forest that I have been called to out in the woods and asked if I was the one. This voice came through my head. Identify that you are the one that we've been waiting for. And I walk up and I in some way identify that it is me. And information just gets transferred from elemental sources, whether it be the ground, whether it be trees, whether it be the sky, into me. And I see all of this information, but I'm never leaving here and now. I'm never going anywhere else. It's just it's realms are just opening up, and I'm just becoming part of all of it. When I used to go hiking, I would rest on one of the flat stones of the mountain and relax. And within a couple minutes, I could feel my body sink into the granite of the mountain, and it would become like level with my chest. So I was like sunk into it and became one with it. But I never astro traveled. It wasn't another experience that I was seeing. It was right then. It was right there. And then whenever that experience was done, the rock would like push me up back to being on top of it, and my break would be over and I would go back to the hike. But that's the experiences that I would have. It wasn't going someplace else. It was changing the environment that I was physically in, and adding another dimension or two to it.
So, Brooke, that's a really great explanation of becoming one with nature. A really great explanation, because we hear this, to be one with your surroundings and nature around you and the earth and so on and so forth. But then it's like, well, what does that mean? What does that entail? And by you explaining that was a really great way for us to understand how that can happen for someone.
And it was never so like the room outside of the basement. It wasn't a scary situation. None of this has ever terrified me as to something else happening. It's just an expansion of my universe. And one of the things that I have worked with, I haven't had a full explanation of yet, is when I'm around a fire, there are whispers and murmurs in the fire. and it's one of the very few things on my bucket list is to experience a natural wildfire, because there's information from the elemental sources, the element of fire, that it is trying to come through to me, and like the rock, like the mountain has gifted me with knowledge, elemental knowledge. The trees have gifted me with elemental knowledge. I've played with the winds, I've played with the clouds and the rain, but fire has always been very elusive as to what it's trying to tell me.
Wow, I love that. And for those that may be wondering, what exactly does a shaman do? Well, they are some very fine examples right there, connected with the elements, how they, how you work with them, how they communicate with you. That's incredible. I see Julie going like she is understanding everything you say. The room, dimensions, please. What's your take? I'm curious, Julie, what's your take on what Brooke has said?
I mean, I think that's what shamans are known for, is being able to bend space and time, right? Like go through these doors, portals that not everybody can experience or does.
I'm not sure that it's a bending. I think it's an elaboration of it, because it's there. It's who has developed themselves enough to experience everything around them.
But different concepts of what Julie may have. See, and again, is this purely how Brooke has experienced, these phenomena, whatever you want, these communications, this oneness? But then Julie, does she experience what she does differently? Do you know what I mean? It's like a medium saying, no, I hear spirit. And the other one going, no, I feel them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And you've got two different abilities or skills or understandings of how it works. So I love that you've both got something different there. And it explains, for Brooke, for you to be able to articulate to us what that's like for you and to explain that. And then for Julie to articulate, hang on, this is what it's like for me. This is my understanding of it. So
that's why you brought the three of us here, to give multiple explanations of experiences.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because, as we know, all of us in our different modalities, we can never say that our experience is exactly like someone else's and vice versa. It is never, ever going to be the same, because there will always be different aspects or different ways that we feel, perceive, receive information and communication. So I find that really interesting, really interesting. But I love, Brooke, like I said, how you've described that oneness with the elements. That's really fascinating and gives a really great look into when you say you're a shaman, what exactly that is. And so you would be accessing ancient knowledge.
I've been trained, if you will, to express it as a universal knowledge. So yes, it's elemental because it's the elemental energies, whereas mediums, you're going on a lot more of an identity energy, whereas I can't, or I guess I choose not to identify the spirits that come through. So when I'm doing a clearing of a property, if I get called in and somebody says their house is haunted, well, I'm not going to tell you if it's great Aunt Etta, but if you want it gone because it's the energy, I can remove the energy. But I can't, but I don't associate with the identities of it.
Yeah. And I love that you've explained that, because a lot of people think that, one, a psychic is a medium is a psychic. Yes, they say that if you're a medium, you are psychic, but some people's psychic development is far more than what they are a medium, and vice versa. But I love the fact that you're saying you do this work, but you don't do that mediumship specific connection. So for the viewers and listeners, just because one person does one thing doesn't mean they do all things. I guess it's like a career, isn't it? Someone can work in a shopping center. One person's a manager, one person's a cleaner, one person's a shopkeeper. There's different roles that we play within these modalities. And I find that really interesting. But I find your perception or your opinion, Julie, and belief, obviously from what you've experienced and what you know, different to Brooke's. And I love that, because we need that variety, because you've experienced different things, Brooke's experienced different things, and it's good to see that they're not always identical, because this is the world we live in. Nothing's ever always going to be the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So fascinating.
Exactly. Yeah.
I am dying to ask him a question, please. Can you
Go for it?
Can you recall, what did it feel like when you're describing kind of sinking in and feeling being part of that stone, that rock? Do you remember what that sensation was like for you?
Physically, or
everything?
If you can imagine, okay, so physically, if you can imagine laying in a deep puddle of mud, and it's thick enough to initially hold you, but then your weight just sinks. And it wasn't that the rock was soft and squishy, but it wasn't sharp and jagged either. It was a sinking sensation into the stone.
Warm, cold, neither?
I honestly don't remember a temperature being with it. And as far as emotionally, again, none of this has ever scared me.
Right.
So it was I don't know, exciting to try to absorb whatever was being given to me. So the day that I met the ancient oak in the woods and got centuries of information just brought to me, that was like a surge, because I had my shirt off and I had a hold of the tree, and it was a surge into my chest, almost like an electrical charge.
I was going to say, like electric in nature, right?
It was, wow. but it wasn't shocking. It was more of a
neurological response. So there was like some kind of neurological, physical response to the energy and the vibration that was coming off of that tree, melding with your neurosystem, with your atoms. Very cool.
Wow. And so at the end of that journey, when I got done with the tree and regained my composure, if you will, and I went to leave, I was walking down the trail, and the person that was with me made the noted to me, because I was, my head was a little foggy at the time, trying to take in everything that I had. And all of the saplings that we were walking down this trail started bowing in to me as if they were welcoming me home.
It's like Avatar.
It really was. And it was such a phenomenal experience to just stand there. And we stopped walking, and just these little saplings just started bowing in and just wanted to touch me. And to this day, Alicia and I will go out for a walk in the woods, and I'll point it out to her. There won't be a single breeze in the wood. And we'll be walking down the trail, and there'll be one fern just doing this. The rest of the ferns are perfectly still. And there's one fern just doing this. And I'll see it, and I'll go over, and I'll take my fingers, and I'll just acknowledge that it was saying hi, and run my fingers up through the fern, and it'll just calm down. And it's an exchange of energy. Like, welcome home, and thank you for seeing me once again.
Sounds like a puppy dog wagging its tail, excited to see you.
So cool.
And it
really is.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, Brooke, because I've seen that when we've gone walking through the bush here, and I'm like, you notice it because there's that one plant that's just going like this, and everything else is still. And I'm saying to my husband, "Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I wonder why it's doing that." Next time I'll go over and
go over and just gently rub the underside of its leaf or something, and just say thank you.
Yeah. Wow. There you go. So it's all been communicating around me, and I'm just totally oblivious. What's going on there? What is that? I love it. And I love the way that, because obviously, Brooke, when this is happening, you're in total surrender. So, and Jeannette, with her, scientific mind, explain this to me. And Brooke's like, dude, I'm surrendered at the time.
I was wanting to know, did he feel, because stones like that, you're solid. Did he feel more grounded? Was there just like an ancestral sense of all of the years that stone had been there? Because it's kind of mind-blowing. So I want to know what that really was in all these different aspects. It's very
ancestral. Cool. It definitely is the word. I mean, because coming from the shaman point of view, and trying to always wanting to be one with everything, and to have something that's just thousands or millions of years old, just to notice me and accept me as part of it, and to take me as part of it, and let me give you something. And, it's like talking to your great grandmother or something, and listening to stories, and passing down stories or information of some sort, and mine's just of an elemental nature.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. You'll have a lot of people going now, I want to be a shaman, potato. So that's fascinating, because there is just, go on.
What's interesting, and you mentioned it before, that everybody has their own experience, and through the shaman training and the courses that I've taken, there have been people right next to me that don't experience what I experience, not even to the level that I experience. They're feeling little tidbits and whatever, and I just dive right into the middle of the fire, and it's like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And other people just sit there, and it's like, wow.
Yeah. So it's a little bit like
I don't know that I can do that.
Yeah. It's a little bit like a calling home.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Incredible. So Julie, I want to go back to Julie. So tell me again, or share with the audience how you feel this is like this happens. You were talking about bending. Was it bending time?
Yeah. For me, yes. I feel like that's what I experience when it happens. It's like space and time change. right? But I am still there. Although I've had experiences like Jeannette described where I'm someone else or somewhere else. But for me, it's related to what the vibration is, right? So it's the vibration of myself and the place and everything that's going on in that way. One example I can give of that is one time I was in California and I had come from like a spiritual development group that was like a weekend, at the beach. And I had a really horrible flight arrangement where I got to Utah and then sat there for like 7 hours and to fly back to Pennsylvania. It was like, why did I even get on the plane? But I was standing in line, to go to the ticket people or whatever. It's an airport. You're standing in line. And this was before airports were quite as difficult as they've been lately. But no one could see me, right? So you can imagine, like, normally, like the ticket person doesn't look at you. I'm standing there. I'm the first person. Calls the next person, and you can imagine how frustrated, right? You'd normally be. I was not at all frustrated. It was like I completely understood. And then finally I'm like, they can't see me. And I had to like make contact with the person behind me and like bring my vibration down to match them. And then all of a sudden I was like, I was there. No one else even recognized it. The person behind me did, me. It's like, weird. I'm just here watching the whole airport go by and not getting on the plane.
So, wild. So you didn't have to go through security because you're invisible. You can use that next time, Julie.
Exactly. Just have to remember how to do it when you're frustrated. It was, but that I know that happens, right? Like there are mismatches of vibration, and sometimes they're so obvious and also so mundane. Like if you're watching people at the park, at the mall or whatever, you can see it. They're in different realities. They're not even getting each other. They probably can't even remember each other. And then every once in a while, smack, they run into each other and their experience will be totally different. One story that I want to share because it's kind of like, it's just what happens to me right now, right? I will leave this room and go into a different dimension and come back, and this one won't be the same. I'll find things, I'll lose things, and I have learned to find that they show up when I need them. But I came into trance in a very backward way, of course. I fell into a trance, gave information, didn't know what was happening, and then had to like, oh, maybe I should develop this so this doesn't start happening and I end up, as a scientific subject of some sort. So I was, I found a class and it was over Zoom. This was at the end of COVID. It was in February. I know there was snow on the ground. There was like a foot or more snow on the ground. The house was quiet. It was like 3:30 in the afternoon. Oh, it must have been earlier than that because my daughter was going to school in the kitchen. Remember those days? Like she's over here going to school.
Yeah.
And I was in my bedroom on my tablet, right? Because all the technology is being used at the same time, right? And so I was like sitting on my bed and I had my, my pillows propping things up, and I'm taking this trance class. It's like 3 days. And the first day was a lot of talking and, okay, this is how you do it and whatever. And I had taken like a little bit before that because I couldn't wait to start this one. The second day blew my mind. I'm watching and the instructor saying these words, and some of the words perfectly matched things that I had received in meditation years ago. Like when I was learning to meditate and I would ask questions like, why am I here? These, right? And I got words and I'm like, I don't know what that means. He used those words. My mind's like, whoosh, so I got this physical feeling of like everything lining up like the spokes in a wheel, like you are where you're supposed to be, right? Okay. So then we go into a breakout room And we're supposed to try to speak in trance, right? Okay. Don't have any expectations. Just let it happen. Alien voices came out of my mouth. I'm giving words. I'm speaking from the collective. I knew it was a collective. These words are coming out of my mouth. It was the most amazing feeling I've ever had. You know, you talk about coming home, like, oh my God, I felt like I was everything and nothing at the same time. There were no limits, no boundaries. I could put my hand through that wall. No worries. Nothing exists. Everything exists. It's all the same. So I come back down. And then we kind of act normal, you know, because like, and you're on Zoom. Everyone's watching you, you know, you know. And there's like all these like cubes on the screen. And I'm like, wow, that was amazing. Right. So I'm sitting there and he starts, you know, processing and my mind's just blown. I was barely even in the class. Right. So I look up and at the bottom of my bed is a raccoon. Okay. So I live in a house in the suburbs, like the edge of a city. I've lived here for 20 some years. I've never seen a raccoon in our community. There was one in my house, right at the bottom of the. Okay. But I'm also on Zoom. So I'm aware I'm on Zoom. So I'm like, ha, 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 ha. So I like, also aware my daughter's in the kitchen, right? So make eye contact with the raccoon. His eyes went, whoa. Like, I'm like, dude, you're in my house. You know? So I picked up a pillow and I threw the pillow at the raccoon. I didn't have anything else. I heard it scamper away down the hallway, right? I have wood floors. It scampered, but I didn't hear anything after that. I didn't hear, did it go in the garage? Did it go upstairs? Did it go downstairs? I don't know where the raccoon is. I'm on Zoom. Daughter is singing in the kitchen with her high school chorus. Okay, so finally the instructor's like, okay, oh, so then I pull out my phone because we have to have all the technology. And luckily, I have a friend who's an animal communicator. So I'm texting her. I'm like, there was a raccoon in my living room, in my kitchen, in my bedroom. I don't even know what room I was in. I'm like, and so she is like sending me back like pages of animal medicine and this and what happened. Well, raccoons, I don't think this will shock anyone, but raccoons are interdimensional travelers.
Oh, well, right? There you go.
But so have the bathroom break. I'm still not sure what is happening in, you know, this reality. So I'm like, okay, I have a bathroom break. I get my daughter. I'm like, hey, did you see a raccoon come through here? What are you smoking, Mom? So we go down to the basement because that's where I figured it must have gone, right? Down to the basement. And luckily, my daughter has had her rabies shot, so I pushed her in first. So she goes into this back room, and we saw nothing. I saw no wet footprints. I saw nothing. I did find a broken window. So there could have been a place where the raccoon had come in. There could literally be a raccoon. I don't know. So we put something in front of the window, blah, 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 took care of that. Went back to trance land where I started talking to aliens again.
Yeah. So yeah. Not weird at all, Julie. Not weird at all.
Not at all weird, right? And my daughter just takes it in step, like, yep, Mom saw a raccoon yep, that's what happened. And then I start getting reading these things from my animal communicator friend. And I'm like, well, it's really good thing to have, you know, an animal communicator friend on speed dial when you're on Zoom with people around the world and you're getting these answers like, and I'm like, what? Yeah. So I don't really know 100% if the raccoon was there because my mind was altered and the spokes in the wheel, but it was physically like, it was not a cartoon raccoon. It was.
Wow. I love that. And for those that obviously don't hear Julie outside of Zoom, whenever we connect, the first thing that she usually says is, "Oh my God, you'll never believe what happened. Something weird." Oh, I believe it, Julie. Every time I will believe it.
I have told that story like not many times because it is still even very weird to me. I can still feel that weird, like I'm on Zoom, I have to look, okay, there's a raccoon, what is happening?
I love
and
that.
each place, like as my attention went to each thing, I literally went back and forth in vibration, like that's why I lose stuff. See, I left it
So
over
many
there with the
questions.
raccoon.
Or you have a raccoon that's taking things. That could be a possibility.
Yes, we'll blame the raccoon.
Wow, that's funny and everything all at the same time. I mean, I don't know, but a raccoon's actually, will they attack? Are they actually dangerous, or they will run from you, or like what's the story with raccoons?
They're not supposed to be domesticated,
But they easily can be.
They can be, and they're mischievous, but I don't think you want to threaten them or corner them or apparently let them know that they're in your bedroom and they should leave.
So they're a little bit like
he looked like he owned the place. That's the other thing. Where were my cats? Why did my cats not say, "Hey, there's a raccoon"?
They were probably running thinking, we've had too much catnip. So
many questions.
That's a weird looking stray cat in our house.
They're all traitors. What did Mom bring home this time?
Yeah, and not through the front door. Dimensionally.
No. Yes.
Wow. So are you actually sort of saying then, Julie, for those that want to dabble in dimensions, be careful what you open up because you don't know what you could let into your house?
Well, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. You should always be careful. And that's how I learned stuff. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to say that because stuff happens and I learn from the stuff that happens.
Yeah. Wow. That's a pretty, that's a rude awakening, I should say, probably more than anything.
And then you have to learn how to fix the stuff.
That's the thing. That's how I learned.
Then you call Brooke and you say, "I have a raccoon that came when I went to an ultimate dimension, kind of, hijacked along with me, and he's here somewhere."
I don't know. Ricocheting through the universe. I don't know.
Wow. But it's interesting you say about losing things that things disappear into dimensions. We had a conversation earlier before we recorded. Jeanette's lost her, what do you call it, a purse, a wallet?
Wallet. My
a wallet.
Driver's license, my ID, my insurance, my credit cards, everything's in there.
Now, the perfect opportunity for someone to go shopping if they had it, but that's not the case.
It's identity theft by a raccoon.
Right.
And as Julie has suggested, it's gone to another dimension. And hence now we understand why she says that.
Yeah.
So I think then the question lies, well, my question anyway, do you believe that the more we do with this work that we do, whether it's mediumship, accessing dimensions, that we are creating more energy and a higher vibration frequency, whatever you want to say, that we are then opening up more dimensions, for greater experiences to happen, bigger experiences, should I say? Like these experiences are going to get more intense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're highways.
I think they're only going to become intense through your own personal interpretation of it because they're already there.
That's true. But then what do you do when other people are experiencing the same? Because that can happen, as we know, when we get together. Sometimes the perfect example for Julie, which will be on a future episode for those listeners and viewers, Julie has this thing that drops into her Zoom window, hovers there, this big glow. It hovers there for a moment and then sucks itself. Well, that didn't sound right.
Back to wherever it goes. Maybe it's the raccoon. That's what it travels in.
Back to its home.
Glad to let your mouth and not mine.
Sorry, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Keep it clean. There could be children listening. So she has that thing that happens, and we will see that. We will see that. I'll screen share that when we have another panel of mediums. That's going to be an interesting one. That is something I have never ever seen before, but that is something we all saw when it happened. It's like, what is that? And then, but it's got this sort of bounce and then off it goes. It's like, what is that? And how? How is that happening? That's the big question. Brooke, have you got any questions or answers on that one?
No, I'm all out on that.
I should send you the video, the little clip there, and it's pretty phenomenal to see. And it was just happen at random, wouldn't it, Julie? Just randomly happened multiple times in different Zooms.
Yeah, it happened. Well, we were always talking about aliens or demons. I think one time we were talking about demons and it showed up, but otherwise we were talking about aliens.
Yeah, just general conversation, in other words.
Yeah. But we weren't in trance.
Everyday stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, but we weren't.
There was a raccoon in the kitchen. So
no, not that you know of.
So it's like that raccoon. I'm thinking, okay, maybe let's say it came in naturally somehow. I live in South Florida, and they're here all the time. They're usually around like apartment complexes on the beach. They're always by the garbage bins. You know, I had a mama with a couple of babies. Like my dog was going crazy. I'm like, what's out there? There are cats out there that are feral, and I'm like, there's squirrels, there's ducks, there's African geese, there's peacocks, huge, what are they called? Iguanas. And so I see this thing, it's kind of dark. I take my flashlight. I'm like, oh my God, that's a mama raccoon with her babies, you know? So I tell the dog to leave it alone. And just 2 days ago, and then I hope you're so wrong about this, my Wally being sucked up by the universe, because there's like no way I'm getting it back. Or when it feels like it, what the hell is that? I need to drive, you know, and be able to not necessarily do the speed limit. Yeah. So I'm looking up and I'm sitting on the front porch. I don't know what I'm doing. I look up and there's this raccoon. It's making this noise like in the tree. I don't see them in the tree because usually they scamper. They're around. You'll see them, but they won't stand there and just kind of like make eye contact with you. And I'm like, oh, hi, little fella. And he just does one of these things, you know. But my question with your raccoon is, so maybe if you made it into the house, because you suburbs, but there's still animal life around you, I'm guessing, right? Were you in some other zone where you again were maybe invisible to him, and he found a cozy spot on your bed and said, I'm going to chill here. And all of a sudden you interrupted him because you weren't there before. And he's like, oh, where did you come from?
Yes.
Or did he come from someplace else? And then the poor dude doesn't have a ticket back. It was a one-way ride. Like, I don't know. I have so many questions. And then you hear him scampering. So it's not like he disappeared. You know, you hear him, you know.
I didn't hear him go down
your hallway. So he went someplace. Physically, you could hear that, the acoustics of it. So I don't know who to feel worse for. I think it's the little raccoon dude who maybe got sucked into your vortex and dumped in your house and lost all his family, his community support, doesn't even know the neighborhood now. That's a big responsibility, Judy. Julie, you really.
I know. I mean, maybe my house just landed in his forest. Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah. I think Jeanette's about to set up a GoFundMe for this raccoon now.
No, I'm freaking out now.
It's getting personal. It's getting personal.
Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. This land just landed in, you know.
Yeah, he thought he was climbing a tree and ended up being like, your bed.
Well, what else can come through with you? I mean, is it limited? Is there like a 35-pound limit? Okay.
No, there's no limit. There's no limit.
When I go to visit you, Somebody remind me, always go to a B&B and do not stay at her house.
You could wake up to the scenes of Africa in your bedroom.
No.
Oh, yeah.
And Jeanette, I can set you up in the basement. No. Or I can go over and visit Alicia and Brooke right here in this doorway, Jeanette. You can be right here in this doorway. I'm never going to look at doorways the same. Never.
You'll be going through it. Jeanette will be like, everything's solid.
Neurologically, right? Your synapses are just like little electrical, literally like a wire, and it connects to this. It's doing this. It hasn't connected to anything yet as you're born, right? And then this one starts, and oops, they make a connection, and then they connect to more. And then it's almost like when one person walks through a forest and you form like a footpath, and then more people go, and the highway becomes stronger and bigger. And so what they're saying is that that's what's happening with consciousness, shared consciousness, and you're expanding and you're opening up to more things, which was, I think, a question Michelle posed a little bit ago. So, I can wrap my head around that. But a poor little sucker getting sucked into your Zoom, he never signed up for it, and he can't get back home. I don't know. And that's never happened before or after. It's not like you see raccoons like I do. You don't see a bunch of raccoons in your neighborhood.
No, I've never seen a raccoon around my house ever.
We have possum, we have fox. I'm telling you, they're everywhere.
I've seen
and I'm in the city.
possum. I've smelled skunk. That's about it. Cats,
Yeah. Interesting. So I have another question for you guys then. When someone experiences déjà vu, now come on, we've all had that. Are we slipping into an alternate reality, a different dimension, briefly accessing that? Now, when that happens, correct me if I'm wrong, we're all consciously aware, and it's like it's playing in your head, even though you're still able to look around, but you're having that awareness of something being exactly like what you're doing.
Yeah, it's not intentional. You're not trying to make it happen. And yet there it is. That's one of those when they show you these movies where they go back in time and all this kind of stuff. But then there's like, well, when did that first originate? Right. So if that already happened and you just slipped into that memory, or did you slip into another timeline where supposedly we're existing in multiple places, multiple dimensions all at once? Right. Supposedly, if that's happening, did you slip into that one? No clue.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a slip, because I can say from a personal experience through many years of experiencing deja vu, I was actually able to change fate and save my own life.
What?
Really?
This is another show. She's not even going to let you tell the story now.
You save that one, won't you? Tuck that one under your hat for next time, Brooke.
Oh, I've got it.
Calling you once this taping is over, because I need to know this before I go to sleep.
Yes.
No, you have to wait for the next episode.
All
right.
I'm friends with your wife. Don't give me that.
Uh-oh, it's getting personal again.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Really?
So, okay, because I've heard some people, when they have deja vu, they start to physically vomit. It makes them physically sick because they can't handle that. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
For me, I love it because it's like a confirmation I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. You know what I mean? It's like, yes.
I agree with you.
Means I'm supposed to be here because I remembered. Or
it
something.
gives me a sense of security, of like belonging, solidity, even though it should be the opposite, right? But yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Julie?
I've noticed that I have deja vu way more frequently when I'm traveling.
Dimensional traveling, or we're talking
just real traveling.
Oh, human traveling. Okay,
human
just checking.
Just and I'm not sure why, except I kind of think it's because you have less control, like you're more open, you're out of your element. And I was supposed to go on those trips, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
you know? So, but I also find like I have more synchronicity when I'm traveling because, like I don't speak the language. So somebody better show up and show me where I'm supposed to be because I won't figure it out.
That's pure trust and faith in humanity and the universe.
Yeah,
different frequencies, right? Vortexes and stuff supposedly are in different areas, right? So maybe you're closer to one of those. I have no idea. But yeah, I think traveling opens up in your material world a lot more possibilities to that other world.
Right. Yes.
But you can be in a closet and have the weirdest things happen to you. So I don't know what to tell you, girl.
Again, we go with Julie. Everything's weird, but for her, normal. So, I have a question for Brooke, actually, Jeanette, when you mentioned portals and so on. When you're walking through the forest, Brooke, and I mean, when you walk through the forest, are you always walking with intent to start with?
My only intention is to be there.
But like the intent to be fully connected, to fully embrace the experience, you're always in that mindset when you like hiking or walking out in nature?
Yeah, I think so. Because I've had experiences in the woods that I've had something on my mind and taking me out of the moment, and something happens to bring me back into that moment here and now. So there was one day that I was walking down the trail. I was thinking of what was going to happen in a couple hours because I was supposed to meet somebody, and I was starting to fret about it. And a leaf came down and literally landed on my face. And it's like, no, you're here. Let it go. This is where you're supposed to be. This is your time. Don't worry about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm out there. I don't know that I consciously set the intent. I think when I go out there, it's a subconscious elemental interjection that just takes me out of my mind. As far as any problems or anything, things just work out.
Yeah. There's a reason why I'm asking this question. So with that being said, do you notice, feel, or sense different areas as you're walking that may be more fuller of energy, like more energy, more vibration, more a magnetic pull to something? Or do you know what I mean? Like
Fairies.
Jeanette's talking about portals. Fairies? What?
Fairies.
Talking Julie's language now.
Yes. There's all kinds. It's not that the whole place has the same energy field, because there are portals, there are hot spots, there are cold spots. Yeah, they're throughout it.
So do you ever find that you walk in some areas where you feel that it's bad, you don't want to go there? You know how some people go, oh, something doesn't feel right. Have you ever had that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just curious,
and then depending on, I have different levels of how bad it feels, and there are times that I will avoid it, and there are other times that I will, no, I'm here to deal with this, and I will walk right into it.
Yeah. Okay.
And intentionally walk right into it and clear whatever doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm just trying to sort of grasp, when you're out walking in nature as someone like, as you've already given us many examples of your experiences when you're out in, with trees and rocks and mountains and the wilderness, is that always, so to speak, switched on? Are you always in tune? Are you always tuning in? Do you know what I mean? Or are there some days you just don't, but other days 100% you're there. You're present, you're feeling, you're experiencing continuously is probably what I'm looking for.
I might not always be 100% there, but I don't go out, at 25%, into it. I'm at least 50 or 60% aware of my space.
Yeah. Interesting. So have you ever walked into or come across a portal in the woods or what feels like one?
Oh, absolutely.
Please explain.
Oh, I'm supposed to explain? It's just a simple question. Yes, I have.
Does it feel like magnetic, or do you just have this sense of like electricity or a vibration, or?
It might be, I guess it could be a vibration. I think it's more of, I'm going to make the reference of the room in the basement. Is the veil lifts and I see something that maybe the person next to me doesn't see. And like I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, fairies.
Yeah.
There's one section of a local mountain that's actually called Fairy Spring. And I've gone up it and I've had the conversation with a couple longtime hikers that have been there. And there's one spot that the base of the rock, if I stop and I guess focus enough, I can see the fairy domains in the face of the rock.
Wow.
And then I've had other people with me that are just like, you're looking at a rock. I mean, there's nothing. What are you looking at? I'm like, no. And I've been with people and I've told them, I said, if you can give me just a couple minutes, stop thinking. Just, it sounds odd, but just feel what you're looking at. And they'll look at it and all of a sudden things will start to shift on the rock. And maybe there'll be little sparks somewhere. It's a totally overcast day. There's no sun. And all of a sudden there are little sparkles coming from crevices of the rock, shadows of the rock, and something sparkles is like, they're just in awe and a little terrified. Like, what am I seeing? Mm-hmm. I said, you're opening your mind. You're open. You just stop thinking. Stop thinking and just absorb what's in front of you.
Yeah, I love that. And generally, kids are good at that, aren't they? Kids see magic in everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brooke, have you ever thought of like leading hikes in your area?
Like
small groups, like 5 people.
So when I was there's a local mountain it's the second most hiked mountain in the world, actually. It's Mount Monadnock. And I've met an awful lot of people there. And I've taken friends up, I've taken small groups of friends up and whatever, but a lot of times I'll just encounter people on the mountain, and sometimes just a simple hi will start a conversation, and they'll be on the most traveled trail of the mountain, and it's like, no, if you want to see the mountain, let me take you on a side trail and show you what this mountain is really all about.
That's 100% total trust. That's total trust in a stranger to another stranger there. Let me take you on this side trail on this mountain.
If you've ever watched The Lord of the Rings, I've had people refer to me, especially if I'm walking up there with my shaman staff. I've had people comment that that I'm just like a young Gandalf. I will bring things out of that mountain that people have no idea what they're even looking at.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you see Brooke in the mountains hiking a trail, follow him. He is the magic master. The Pied Piper of magic he is.
Yeah.
So he will lead you and show you the way for an experience that you will never forget. And I say that in the nicest, gentlest, spiritual way.
In a good way.
Exactly.
But yeah, definitely. I've been drawn to places off of the beaten path. Sometimes I'll be on a very small path, that you're afraid of getting off of. And all of a sudden it's sort of like, I want to start bushwhacking to the left. I have no idea why. And all of a sudden I'll just come to this spot. And maybe it's nothing. I mean, maybe it's not any kind of physical landmark or clearing or anything. Maybe it's just a single tree, and just stop, and just the energy in that spot has just drawn me.
Yeah, right.
So yes, portals in the middle of nowhere. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Well, you definitely answered my question. Thank you. It's yeah. But it's so interesting because there's so much around us, in our world around us, that we're not paying attention to, that we're not observing, that we're not feeling into. And these are I'll call them the magical moments that you can experience, and they are the reality. They are the reality that we have been raised to believe does not exist for most of us, unfortunately. Oh, wow. Thank you, guys. That was, I think we've covered a lot of ground there, a lot of ground. Jeanette's going to set up a GoFundMe for Julie's raccoon. And
I've been everywhere, but still no wallet.
Brooke's
we've been in Iraq, literally in Iraq. We some of the stuff just doesn't compute. I was telling somebody today, so I talk to dead people, they talk to me back. Why can't they just answer me? Where's my wallet? I think that's fair. That's fair.
Well, maybe they're saying,
Julie, there's got to be some exchange. There's no cash fund exchanging. They're just like, my wallet. Like, please, don't tell me it's in another universe.
There's a lesson. There's an experience. You'll figure it out.
Oh, I love the eye roll. And I believe Brooke's going to start his own hiking adventures for people that want to sign up. Contact him. No, don't do that. But we will go around, and I would love for each medium, because you've told some amazing stories, amazing experiences that you've had. And some of these relate to the work that you do. So we'll start with Jeanette. Tell everybody where they can find you.
I am at JeannetteConnects.com, my webpage. I'm on, what else?
Facebook and Instagram. Yes.
Yeah, on Facebook. I'm just thinking my pink wallet, really.
So that's where you can find Jeanette, and she offers a range of services. You can easily go ahead and book on her site or connect with her on social media. Brooke, where can people find you?
I am the Mountain Shaman on Facebook, and my email is theshamantrail@gmail.com.
Yeah, perfect for exactly the stories that you just told, the Shaman Trail. Yeah. I love it. Julie.
Okay, I'm medium-at-large.com, and I'm Medium at Large on Facebook.
And Instagram.
And Instagram. Yeah, I need to.
You can also find her in also altered dimensions.
Too many other dimensions.
Hanging with the fairies, with the raccoons.
There's so much more interesting the other day.
In a spaceship with aliens. Anyway, the list goes on and on. Thank you so much, guys, for being on the show. And you will definitely see more of these mediums coming up. It has been an honor and a pleasure. And thank you for sharing your experiences. It has been so much fun.
It really has. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody finds a wallet, please look me up at JeannetteConnect.com.
To view the show notes, head over to themediumstable.com.au. If you want to watch these episodes, head over to our YouTube channel, The Medium's Table Podcast.